But yes, we should have definitely offhand scepter +5. What? Huh. Do I even have... I want to just see it. I'm just curious, more than anything. Thanks for the bits, chat. I do appreciate it. My brain's melted. Hi, it's me, Melted Brain. Those big cup things, I think we all just got bored of them. They stopped working. Sure, whatever. So what's that do? Oh, it gives me Shocking Touch. Did I lose an ability there? No. That's pretty cool. I like that. I lose 10 accuracy, Albedo. How much does Twitch take from bits? I don't remember the math. A lot. Far more than any other pay service that exists. So we get 1 penny for every bit, right? But you pay more than a penny per bit. Twitch doesn't take any, that's their whole thing. They don't take anything from bits. Technically speaking. They just charge you up front, and somehow that's supposed to make us, the streamer, go, oh, that's okay. But like, your money that you're willing to give away is our money in a sense, right? Like the money you plan to spend, if you plan to spend 20 bucks on streamers, that's streamers' money, right? Instead, Twitch will charge you for your $20. Twitch will give you $15 to give the streamer, right? And then ad bits still exist for like 6 people on Twitch. But yeah, then they sold us on there'll be cool exclusive bits things that'll be really awesome and fun. And ads for watching ads would give you bits and rewards for doing it, and all that shit kind of just went away. And meanwhile, I have a couple of people who still claim they're getting ad bits. But they're the only bits I'd honestly, like, happily take. The rest is always like, ugh. It's your money, like, do with it what makes you comfortable, I guess, but hell yeah, propagation pants. There are new people. I don't know if they change. They do change. Occultist. +1 propagation bounce. +15 poison damage. +15 poison damage. You're an ultimate druid supreme. Do I get more out of subs than bits? I'd have to do the math. I think it's pretty close. Subs, at least you get the emotes. Like, to me, subbing is something that it actually has, like what we were talking about with bits. Bits were supposed to have all these things we were going to do with them besides just Twitch taking a cut of our tips. But subs, you know, they unlock more emotes for me. They give you guys emotes. They feel a lot more consistent as far as income is concerned. Like, I've sat around 1,000 subs now for a few years, and I like have a rough idea of what I make a month. Where tips are fucking random as hell. I'll go 3 weeks without one and then get $300, right? People forget to unsub. Easy money. That's it. I'm upset because I want this person, but I already took poison damage on my other mage. I'm recruiting them either way. They're just good. But the question is, do they take the druid staff? Because you have what? 45% poison damage. 20 that's from a trinket. You just have the... Yeah, you take the druid staff then. Get off there. And you wear the propagation pants. No. I don't know. That's 9 propagates. That's 14. That's a lot. I wish I didn't have to take chat's money. Like, I wish there was enough sponsored content and shit out there for us to not have to do it at all, but... because it's awkward. It's very awkward to try to, like, be honest with you guys and genuine with you guys and then be like, hey, give me your money. And it's why a lot of streamers don't like to talk about the money side of it at all. It's because it's fucking weird. Like, everybody wants to make a little more money, right? But it gets weird to start asking for more than you need, or like, I don't know. I don't really want to give up that extra propagation. I guess I'll take that for now. I don't know where I'm going with these characters. It's only weird because you aren't incredibly greedy. Yeah, but like that's... You're trusting me now. High rolled on ad bits tonight. See, ad bits still exist, chat. It's weird. Just not for the majority of you. I know that ads are regional, and thank you for the bits. I know that ads are regional. They've talked about that for years. Then some places just really don't get shit for ads. They don't sell a lot of ads in your regions. Move point's not bad. But I just need to remember you're no good at moving. Roll better. Roll better. Roll better. Roll better. You did it. Ooh. I don't really need the skill range. I wouldn't even begin to discuss international Piran, because now you're into a whole nother ballpark of who fucking knows. There's not a huge gap on your damage, is there? No. It's hardly worth reliability when you only talking like 10 damage. Oh, poison's there. I guess I'll take that. That gives you like a silly amount of poison, doesn't it? Bean, thank you for the 39 months. Ooh. That would give me 75% poison damage? 76? It's a lot of accuracy, though. I'm gonna take the poison because it's funnier. You don't even have the poison perk yet. I mean, I'm gonna do it now. Now we're onto it. Ride the poison lightning. That's what I said. Yeah, poison lightning. 10 propagates. I love freebies. Sorry. I heard what I said. And it was funny. You hate it because you loved it and laughed. So many of my dudes have crit this time, it's crazy. You don't even use your mana. Oh, I forgot to take magic fuel. Remind me to take magic fuel on my druid. Damn it, chat. That's your fault. You're responsible for this one. All right. I already did, yeah. I'd like to upgrade my shop level, but I'd also like to upgrade the item level there. Shop level. That won't be any better than what I have, really. Except 6% damage, maybe. Nope. I don't think that trumps a bounce. I don't think my warrior even has a shield. Multi-hits. He has garbage armor anyway. He'll wear linen armor. Multi-hits. Gives him 38% chance to dodge too. He's a dodging machine. Hell yeah. And your mage hat? 7. Could have 2 druids. Yeah, but I have a level 5 book, which is a very good book. Oh no. I have spent too much. Why is it always crossbows and guns? I hate them. Chat, I hate them. Gun's worth slightly more. So that's probably worth it. Even losing the bounce, hell yeah. That minimum damage is crazy. Oh wait, I almost made boo-boo because green. It's 140, yeah. Can hold that there and then get the skill range and the propagation. Yeah, you get the skill range too. Sell. Sell. Buy, buy. Buy, buy, buy. My brain is dumb. Have you realized this yet? You should have by now. Build some defenses. Alright, I'm satisfied. Let's move our folks. You and you. You two bowmen. Probably a bad call. That seems better. Did I forget to do anything? No, we're good. Thank you for the bits, Bebot. Thanks, washing machine? What kind of washing machine was it? I want one. My washing machine is older than some of you in chat, I'm sure. So how much poison? That's 120 poison damage. Woo-wee. It's like the old apartment or trailer stackable. My brother gave me his fancy dryer. Wait, no. This is backwards. I have a fancy washer and an old stackable dryer. I don't know why I said that backwards. The good news is the new fancy washing machines have such crazy spin cycles that, like, your clothes are basically dry when they're done being washed, which is pretty nice. Look at all of you going out to the bit mines. I'd be rich. Hell yeah, shocking touch. Yeah, my mom's house, unfortunately, is fine. I say unfortunately because, like, her house is a disaster to begin with. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry if you're watching. That I've been begging for her to get rid of because I don't think it's worth the effort to fix. But it didn't do any real damage. It's a relief that nobody was hurt and, you know, nothing important was destroyed, yeah. But I sure would have liked to have seen the roof collapse just, you know, over where she wasn't currently residing. A fat insurance check her way. Would have been tight. I can't believe how much, oh no, of an idiot I am. How much the dude charged the insurance for removing the tree, though. Like, that's no skin off her back, right? Like, it's no big deal because it's insurance paying for it, but I think he charged like $4,500 to remove one tree. It was on her house, so I understand there's like a risk there of doing more damage. But I had a dude crane trees. There's videos of it way back on my Twitter, but of a dude, they put a crane in front of my, I live on this steep ass hill on a lake, and they put a crane in front of my house, boomed out over the roof of my house, with a dude hanging from a rope. He got on the tree, attached a chain to the crane and cut pieces, and then they slowly hoisted pieces of this tree over my house, and that was like fucking $2,000. And this tree was like, my tree was like 80 feet high. My mom's tree was like 18. So I'm pretty sure the dude scammed the hell out of the insurance company. But, you know, good for him. Somebody should get something from insurance. Dude, watching that guy hang from that crane. And because it's on a hill, right? So, like, the crane was only, you know, say 40 feet off the ground. But because of the hill, he was like 120 feet in the air by the time he got into the tree. It was very... It would have been a long fall down. He loved it. And he was like... I don't know, at least 55, possibly older. And he spent an entire afternoon in that tree. I did 4-hour fishing tournament yesterday and my back hurt so bad. Yeah, we used to, my family owned a bike shop, and bills did tend to run a little higher, it seemed, when it was an insurance job. It was weird. I don't know why. It's like a little more damage every time. This reminds me of the Egyptian guy I was in jail with who kept yelling, "I don't see why I was paying for insurance if I couldn't burn my restaurant down." It's sound logic, I agree. My funniest one with a tree was my tree had a big limb fall on my neighbor's garage. Some of you will remember this if you've been around a really long time and you're super old. So I called my insurance company because I was young, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I didn't know that neighbor. So my insurance company said, well, it's not your problem. It's theirs. And I was like, wow, that's fucked up. I feel really bad about it. So the lady came over and she, you know, asked about the tree, and I said, yeah, my insurance said it's you've got to make an insurance claim, not me. And she got upset, which was understandable. I would have too been upset. So she called her son, who came over and decided he'd cut the tree off himself, because it was like the branch was still sort of attached to the tree and laying on the roof of their garage, or in the roof of their garage. So he got up there and just cut the tree branch at the roof of the garage. So then the tree branch broke off the tree and crushed my fence. So I called my insurance lady, and she's like, well, see, they did that. So now you have to go over there and tell them their insurance has to pay for that too. That neighbor never liked me after that. Did I do it? Absolutely. Because, like, it was a dumb thing to do, man. Like, he knew very well what was going to happen and thought that he could play off the same rules that applied. But the old insurance uses the term act of God, which is also very funny. Like, I ran over a tree branch once. It had fallen directly in front of me, and I ran it over in a storm. Had the tree branch fallen on my car, covered by insurance, fully, no deductible, no issue. However, because I ran it over, even if it fell, even if I was going the speed limit and it fell directly in front of you, where you could not possibly avoid it, it is now an accident, which increases your insurance rates. But if I would have been 1 second faster and it landed on the hood of my car, it would have been fine. I didn't know him before, so... Nothing really lost with the neighbors, but... Two seconds faster and I could have died, yeah. That one sucked because a guy was trying to be a good Samaritan, and in turn, he kind of, like, made me hit the tree. The tree had fallen and covered the lane I was in. It didn't actually fall just before me. I didn't see it fall, but it fell before me. But I was just discussing it with my insurance agent, so that's the way she worded it. If it fell directly in front of you and it was unavoidable and you hit it, it was still your fault because you're in a moving vehicle, like a deer running out in front of you. Anyway, back to what happened. I was driving down the road, it's dark, it was storming, and I was already going only like 45 miles an hour, but the tree had fallen in my lane. Dude parked in his lane, the oncoming lane, right there at the end of the tree, and then was sitting there flashing his lights at me. So I slowed down to like 20 miles an hour, like, what's this guy doing? I don't want to pull over for some weirdo in a storm. And then, ba-dum-dum, I ran over a tree that I couldn't see due to the disco rave strobe going on in my face. He was very sweet and towed my car home and stuff with his truck, but it was also a very dumb decision to just sit there and block the entire road. You blocked the path to the tree, not the only way to avoid the tree is what he decided to block instead. He did tell me, yeah. He was trying to do the right thing. When I was like very young, I went to a concert in Detroit, and like, y'all have heard Detroit's scary, right? So had I. So I had the same impression that, ooh, Detroit, bad. But we're leaving this concert, sporting event, whatever the fuck it was, and traffic got rerouted by a detour. So I'm driving around like side streets of Detroit where it does look pretty, you know, sketchy. And all of a sudden this dude comes running out with a flashlight shining at my car, and I'm like freaking out, panicked, what's gonna happen next? And he shines the flashlight in front of my car, and there's a fucking pothole so big it would have swallowed my entire car. I'm not exaggerating. Like, we got out and talked to the guy and thanked him for stopping us, and I stood in it and it was like up to my waist. And he was just being a good dude, standing out there yelling at traffic to not drive into a pothole. Can you call it a pothole? More like a sinkhole. Yeah, I guess. It's a regular damn hole. That's just Michigan roads. I asked this the other day, and I was disappointed to hear that every state roads are just a big joke. It's like the #1 thing people in politics run on here, is we're gonna fix the roads. Like, that's the bar you've set for being the hero. Michigan, I would, like, not to toot my own state's horn, but Michigan's roads are legitimately some of the worst I've ridden on. And I've driven, like, I've been everywhere, man. I've driven in a lot of states. The minute you cross the border into Indiana, it is infinitely better. I haven't done a lot in New Jersey. I did drive a little bit there, but only like the toll road. It was pretty alright. Toll bridge. Are there laws against putting out traffic cones? I don't know. Probably. I would assume there's laws against just walking around your neighborhood setting up traffic cones. Even if you're doing the right thing. Because that sounds like the kind of thing as a teenager I would have done just to fuck with the neighborhood. I'm the reason that law has to exist. Oh, I tweeted this earlier, but my wife texted me, and she's like, and I know this sounds horrible, but I still think it's very funny. She's like, our daughter's crazy. She just asked me if the baseball bat in the car was in case we got pulled over by the cops, which made me laugh hysterically, and so I responded with just ACAB. She didn't respond for like 10 minutes, and I didn't add it to the tweet, but she eventually responded and said, what is that, a Harry Potter spell? And I just said yes. So in my mind, I hope someday she's just gonna yell it out, making a Harry Potter joke, and like offend all of her conservative friends. Because it'll be really funny. I wasn't gonna tweet it, but then I saw Felicia Day tweeted like a picture of like a Disney cup that her daughter had scratched the eyes out of the princess and said she likes scratching the eyes out of all of her princesses. And I was like, kids are just fucked up, dude. Doesn't matter how good you try to raise them. Sometimes they want to hit a cop with a bat. Like, whatever. Played enough Grand Theft Auto. Then I was sitting on an FBI agent's boat today, so, you know, I live a dangerous life here. FBI not the same as cops. I mean, probably. I like this dude well enough. Is that a saying elsewhere? It should be. Anyway, well enough in my mind means like, you know, we're not going to be the best of friends, but I'm not going to piss him off because I don't want him to fucking pull me over. But he's the class. I would say he's no different than your classic small town beat cop, dude. Like, he's like, specific example was he was talking about one of the dudes that lives on the lake with us who's a drunk. Everyone knows he's a drunk. Everyone knows he's always drunk. And he mentioned that too, like, you know, oh, he's always drunk. but he cut me off the other day, so I called the cops and made sure they pulled him over. And then, like, I saw that dude, and yeah, he did. He got pulled over. He got a drunk driving. He's all upset about it. But, like, everyone knew he was drunk to begin with. But because he cut you off, now you're going to do something about it. To me, that's the issue with law enforcement, right? That's just as bad as any local cop. Pretty sure anyone can call the cops on a drunk driver. Right, but not anyone is gonna get the cops to actually go, right? That's exactly the point. Because of who he is, because he's an FBI agent. When he calls the cops will actually take it seriously and responds to it. Where everyone else would be like, that's just... I should just say his name. I feel bad saying other people's names on the internet, but his his name is Bobber. I don't know his actual name. I assume it's Bob. But everyone just calls the man Bobber, and everyone just knows Bobber's drunk. No, bobber, like a fishing bobber, like bobber. He spends most of the day trying to get his jet ski to run and cussing at it drunk on the lake. I see him every day out there, all summer long, screaming and yelling and cussing at his jet ski. That's bobber. Again, I like him well enough, but... You know, that's it. I like him well enough. I find it funny. How do you add, so like if you really want the answer, I never know if that's just a joke or someone actually wants the answer. From my understanding, the old way of making shortened names was using like rhyme and stuff like that. So you had Rich or Richard to Rich to Rick to Dick is the roundabout way that Richard became Dick. It was just like people trying to be cutesy and rhyme things. What a guy. Dude, the small town life. I wish I could take you guys. I hope someday I can, like, get like some hidden camera and just take you guys on like a real private tour of my town. I stopped the other day to ask a family friend a couple of questions about something, and Bobber was there. And somehow we ended up talking about fucking dating apps, and man, you should have heard Bobber. You should have heard Bobber. And he ain't no looker, so he can't really complain, but boy, did he have a thing or two to say about the women of the internet. Does two-party consent apply to streaming? Dude, like, it's Bobber. He's never gonna get online. This dude drives a jet ski from 1986. Fuck the rules. Did any of you have weird nicknames that, like, you identify by to strangers? I have a cousin that identifies to everyone as Squirrel. I don't admit to being related. He's actually quite popular, but I don't often admit to being related to him because he identifies himself to people as Squirrel. Good old Squirrel. You got a friend who goes by Hippo. Basically Bean. You identify yourself as Bean to random strangers. Lark? Yeah, but like people could just take that for a name. But I find it because that's Bobber's. Like he just, you know, he's proud of it. And I would almost guess this takes me to my father, who he could never remember a motherfucker's name to save his life. And me and my brother would always give him shit about it because these customers would come in for years and my dad would not bother to remember their goddamn names and then come asking us. So my dad likes to, like, we'll get mad at him or like, you know, tell him like, come on dad, you gotta figure this out. And then he likes to like take our advice and just twist it just twist it all up. So me and my brother were giving him shit about never remembering these customers' names. So he came up with a system of giving them just incredibly mean and offensive names. And calling them by those names instead of their real names. My personal favorite, well, my favorite story of him is Special Jeff, who got like so excited because he thought that he was like special to my dad. And not that my dad was insulting his brain capacity. One guy he just called Fanny Pack, because the dude always wore a fanny pack, my dad said. So that was all he addressed him by for like 5 years. And my personal favorite, it's offensive, I'm gonna warn you now, was he just called a guy Robert. And the guy never asked why, thank God, because my dad would have just been honest with him. But it was because he looked like he had Down syndrome, Dad said. So he just called him Robert. But there's a whole slew of customers with names that aren't theirs that he somehow remembered instead of just taking the time to remember their actual real names. One of which was an actual real name, but not for the right guy. There was Farty George. He just called him that because the dude always farted. So you remember we worked at a bar? The Facebook noise? Was his name his? I think his name was George, which is creeping me out. And the dude did always fart. It was gross, and he like joked about it. That was the problem. They're all bikers. So like, I think that's where my dad thought, I'll give them all cool biker names. I should say they were all wannabe bikers. They were all dudes that rode Harleys. So my dad thought he'd give them all biker names. And like, if you're in a motorcycle club, you usually get a name that isn't nice. It's usually something that in a way is poking fun at you and your flaws. Robert Downey Jr. If it's directed at Harley bikers, yeah, it was. Always. Sorry, my Facebook's still going off. Freebies. I mean, I don't see the problem anymore either, because all those dudes are probably dead by now. Stop messaging me, people. Why am I all of a sudden so popular on Facebook? I tweeted earlier, but I can't. I had to delete it because I was thinking my future wife might see it. But I've gotten so sick of dating apps, which is what's going off. I've gotten so sick of dating apps that, like, I've run out of cool ways to just say hi. The, like, introductory, like, hello. The first message. So today I sent something dumb about, like, how do you feel about... How do you feel about human names for pets? It was just, like, the first thing I said to a girl. Which I thought, like, you know, worst case scenario, she thinks it's funny and has some witty response to it. Best case scenario, she just blocks me. But instead, I got like a very serious answer. Of like, you know, sometimes I think if a human name is appropriate. And it just fucking, it wrecked me. I had no response. I was not prepared for the scenario where someone took me serious enough to answer. So now I'm just gonna be forever the guy whose first message was, how do you feel about human names for pets? And then ghosted you because I was too awkward to come up with a second question. What the average airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? That's my issue with it. I hate the first message. It's so... I talk to strangers for a living, but I don't pry into your lives without... Sometimes I do. But not like... Our first... I don't know. It's different. I just don't think there's a good way to start a conversation with a stranger on the internet. Especially when your ultimate goal is to wed them. Yeah, that really is it. I'm not trying to sleep with any of you or give a fuck what you think about me. The strangest color poop you've ever had? Some shade of brown? I don't think I've ever had a poop that wasn't a shade of brown. I'm sorry to let you down. That might be stronger. I don't think I've had green. I've had like some near yellows. Some really light browns. Strangest color pee you've had? Like orange? But like, it's not that strange when you know why your poop or pee is a different color, Chad. Like, this isn't fucking magnets. I understand how this works. I don't think I've ever looked down in the toilet and been surprised at what I saw, except in like size, either big or small. Yesterday, I wanted to tweet about it, but I try not to tweet pictures of my poop. But yesterday, I swear to God, I looked down in the toilet. You gotta look, right? You gotta make sure, just in case it's fucking black as night or something and you're worried you're dying. You gotta take just a quick glance at what you left behind. So I glanced back, and I swear to God, it looked like it was smiling at me. It fucked me up. Just grinning back at me. Everyone looks their poop before they flush it. What motivates you to not see it? No, I look. I just don't think any of us really want to look. I don't think it's something that any of us are like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna go look at my poop, right? Like, it's, yeah, sure, I agree that everyone, at least once in a while, sneaks a peek at their turd just to make sure they're not dying. Do you sniff the air? No. But if I have if I have an incredibly heinous fart, I I do want other people to partake in it. There's a part of me that's like, you should smell how bad this is. There's an evil part. And it's not even evil. It's more like, let us celebrate together the toxic stench that has come from my anus. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the only one who's like, this sucks. You want somebody else to appreciate it. Let us pray. You have more than enough mana regen. Reroll. Why do I keep rolling this? Reroll. Momentum. That wasn't the one. I know there's characters I said to take other things on, but I'm just clicking buttons at this point. Ooh, yes, yes. The reddest shit? The family bag of Swedish fish. So you wait, you came to the US and you wanted to eat nothing but junk food. So you bought a bag of Swedish fish. Very American of you. Me and my American friends frequently share Swedish fish with each other. The only guy I know that ate Swedish fish in my entire life was my grandfather, and he was from Norway. What is the most American junk food? I don't know. I'm not educated enough in other cultures, but it's not Swedish fish. So Nathan, I got sent a shitload of fancy Swiss chocolate. And none of it tasted that much different than American chocolate. By a game dev in Swiss. In Swiss. The cheese, that's where they were. Dude, candy corn and circus peanuts are tight, and they get. I'm just gonna keep taking this because I've lost track of my life. The dude lived for a while to know if he was awake by his body odor. Yeah, that's tough. I'm a stinky dude. I'm a dirty dude. I don't think I'm that stinky. There are times where I'm like, I should really stink. And then I'll ask everyone around me, do I stink? Please inform me correctly so that I may shower. And they're like, nah, dog, you're fine. And I'm like, all right. I hate showering, though. I get the worst dry skin from showering, and it makes me miserable. So I will avoid it at all costs. If I don't have to, I won't. I think I have enough lotion, dog. It doesn't do it, dog. I also have super sensitive skin, so like scented lotions and scented detergents and stuff like that, I break out into a horrid rash that makes me want to die. Sure, whatever, man. The perks are not nearly as exciting as the level points. Thanks, Sylv. Day 9. Cooler water. So it's not as bad for me in the summer. In the winter is when it's really bad. Like, I can survive the summer pretty well without and shower regularly without being miserable. But boy, in the winter when it's cold, dude, it is the suck. 54 armor points, 15 block, and no movement points. That's a shield. That's a fucking shield. Dude, Werther's original is dope. Anybody who says otherwise is a fool. I'm gonna buy it, I guess. Though I don't know, man. I really wanted to make a tanky character, but it still just doesn't feel that worth it. We're gonna upgrade this. We're gonna put a worker in here. Put another one in there. Why you never give me what I... Ooh, wait, that's got one multi-hit. I think that's useful as a secondary for somebody. Damage and a multi-hit. Yeah, I won or not one. I won big bass yesterday at a bass tournament and got third place. Pretty proud of it. It's free fishing weekend, is it? I didn't know that. I got a trophy. I won this bottle of bourbon, which is funny because I don't drink, and I won some cash money. Got a bottle of 5-year aged bourbon. Thinking about becoming an alcoholic. No, don't drink, never have. I did tweet the big catch. It was a 4-pounder. I caught, so it's bass tournaments, it's total weight of your best 5 bass. And I caught 3 fish and got third. So that's pretty good considering I beat 2 guys that had 5 fish. And my 3 weighed more than their 5. I had a 4-pounder, a 3-pounder, and the 2.5-pounder. I keep what I want to eat, but most of what I catch is put back because I catch way more than I could possibly eat. What was the average size of the top 2? First place had you can do the math. First place had 13 pounds and like no ounces, like less than 1 ounce. Second place was like 10 and a half pounds, and then we were 9 pounds, 9 something, 9.5, I think. Right around there, so you can do the math. What bait did I use? Most of my fish were caught on a swim bait. 2.6. Yeah, he had 1 good fish too. He was upset that he didn't win big bass. He had like a 3.5-pounder. But I would say like a keeper bass can be as little as like 11 ounces. In order to have a bass count for a tournament, it has to be a keepable size, the legal size, which is 14 inches. You can't keep bass like this and weigh them. They have to be at least legally able to be kept, because you keep them until you weigh them all. You put the fish goes through hell at the last minute. So you catch the fish, you put them in your live well, you keep them alive in there. And then you take them from the live well, you put them into a bag, basically like a reusable grocery bag, but it's made of plastic so it can hold water. But you put them in water in a bag, and then you go and you wait in line to weigh your fish. And then you dump your bag of water and fish into a big sink. They pick out the biggest one to weigh that for the big bass. Then they put all of them into a plastic bag with no water and weigh them. Then you stand around, take some pictures with them, and then you let them go. They all swam away. But they have a hell of a moment there where they go from live well to plastic bag with water to plastic bag without water to being back in the lake. It's a minute. Poor creatures? I know. Poor creatures. I hope my alien abduction is as exciting as well. I guess I don't want any of that. I'm upset that I don't. That helmet's okay. I do my best when I'm fishing alone to, like, give a fuck and not torture them any harder than I have to. But yeah, I'm a fisherman. I would much rather fish and hunt and farm my own shit than buy it from the grocery store. And I am also willing to accept that I do it purely for my own personal enjoyment. As fucked up as that is, I know, I do it for myself. I believe I am superior. Wow. It's the only thing you can say though, right? Anything else would be lying, right? Anything else would just be lying about it and pretending. Yeah, I got real fucked up going to a dairy farm a few years back, and it like has seriously changed my opinion on a lot of things meat. And I took a lot of time to soul search and make my own decision about how I feel about the treatment of animals. And I do think factory farming is some of the most disgusting shit on the planet. But I've also come to terms with the fact that I eat meat and I kill pests, and I do put myself above animals. Yeah. If a squirrel got in my attic, I would kill it. You know? I like squirrels. They're one of my favorite animals. It's hard to have moral... Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my moral high ground is I've come to terms with my acceptance of being better than animals. I'm not... It's fucked up to say, I know, but there is no alternative, right? Like, there is no... Besides lying and pretending like, oh, the fish don't feel it. The fish don't mind. Like, they do. They mind. They absolutely fucking mind. My hands will tell you. I'm cut up, bit up, chewed on. I got catfish scars all over me. They mind. I got a hole in my hand where one spun a hook into me. Oh, pig farms are the worst. They're not, but they're one of the worst because pigs are such a big creature, and they pack them in on concrete because it's cleaner than dirt, and they're one of the best for like pounds of meat produced per square inch kind of deal, you know? It's pretty horrific stuff. About the raccoon that knocked me out? No, like I wouldn't kill a raccoon in the wild. They're not affecting me. If it came at me, I'd murder it in a heartbeat. Like if I would have saw that raccoon falling on my head, oh yeah, 100% I would have killed it. But like after it landed on me and me and the raccoon were okay, I didn't hunt it. I didn't hunt it down like it was a man-eating bear or something that needed to be put down. When I was younger, it was a pretty common thing for us as teenagers to get all fired up, bored is what I mean by fired up. We'd get all fired up and we'd go out in the woods and shoot at things, which always led to us killing something. I laugh because of what I'm about to say next. It always led to us killing something and then feeling really guilty about it. And just like going home upset at the decision we had made to just pointlessly murder something. uh, boom, boom. But yeah, I don't like killing anything, not even fish. Like even the fish that stuck me with a hook, I did kill that fish, but it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't like I went, fuck you for hurting me, fish, I'm going to kill you. I have some people I've known throughout my life that are like that, that if like they get hurt by a fish unhooking it, they'll like seek revenge. And it's like, dog, you hooked him. you did this. But no, like, I spent like 20 minutes trying to resuscitate the biggest fish I ever caught because I was very upset it died. And then I ate it. But I got in the water and swam with that fucking fish, trying to get trying to get it to come back to life. I was very upset. I don't like to kill them, Nathan. I love the sport of fishing. I'm a huge fan of the sport. I love what it's done for my life and like my interest in nature and just being outdoors and caring about everything more. It's weird that it does that for me, and I know that it's not necessary, but I love the sport of fishing. And a big part of having this sport around is taking care of big fish, not just taking them all home with you every single time you catch one. So yeah, I don't fish with a worm and bobber anymore, tackler, because I don't want fish to swallow hooks, right? Circle hooks for catfish because they don't swallow them, and if they do, they pop right out. Like there's a whole bunch of ways that I take to try to not pointlessly murder fish. Besides abstinence, like I still do the only thing more I could do, in my opinion, is abstain from fishing, which I'm not there yet. Abstinence from fishing. Don't fuck the fish. That's right. You really, I haven't had a bass swallow a lure in my life, I don't think. The goal is eating to circle life. See, it's not though, Top Deck. That's actually like one of the worst things fishermen use that excuse right there all the time for killing a fish is I'll feed it to the turtles, I'll feed it to the gulls. No, the gulls are wildly overpopulated because people fish. It's not the circle of, it's not natural. It's unnatural. Perch fishermen are one of the worst for it. Walleye and perch fishermen, because they catch them in such deep water that when they're reeling them up, they die anyway, and they think, I'll throw this little fish back and wait to catch big ones later. But that fish won't survive, just like we get, what's it called? The bends. Fish get that shit too. So a lot of times you catch fish in really deep water, they'll die, or your fish puts up a really hard fight, which trolling and stuff like that can do to a fish. They'll die anyway. So people, because they only want to keep big fish, they'll throw back all their little ones, and all that happens is they end up overfeeding gulls, fish that wouldn't have been there, fish that would not have been dead there. And it's not like it's one or two fish. It can be 30 or 40 fish that they think they're releasing that are alive that are just going to die in 3 minutes when they drive the boat away. Yeah, while I have a limit. But you have a season too, right? Perch don't. I don't think perch do. They don't here. They might on the bigger lakes. Sorry, I'm like wildly debating this as well as I like the topic. I'm just gonna take this, I guess. Even though I won't run it. Maybe I'll run it somewhere. I put a lot of thought into... Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to put a lot of thought into it. I'm going to murder them occasionally. I'm going to torture them. Like, I should put thought into it. And to me, that matters. It may not matter to anyone in chat or to any vegans, but to me, that matters. The fact that I at least took the time to think about what I'm doing. It matters to me. You can have this. If you fuck a fish, kill it quick. Yeah. I told this story just the other day, but I pulled over to rescue a turtle, thinking that Alice would appreciate us rescuing a turtle on the side of the road. Big, giant, snapping turtle. It had already been run over. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I wanted to just leave it because big, pissed off, snapping turtle. But Alice was not okay with that. We had to kill it because it was suffering. I called my vet friends. There's no way this turtle's gonna survive. Nope. I had to fucking go out and shoot this turtle in the head. But she even gave me like the speech on turtles have a really slow metabolism, which in turn means they actually die really slow when they're wounded. They don't die as fast as a mammal. Which is pretty sad. I shot that fucker with a 9mm with a home defense round, a $2 home defense round. The finest of deaths. He died with luxury ammunition. Home defense rounds, I don't have my gun on me, they're made to break apart, so that way if you shoot a dude in your house, you don't also shoot your wife in the room over, is the idea behind them. That's how you want to go out? Me shooting you in the head with a home defense round? I guess I can build these since I'm rich. I could upgrade my ballistas too, but there's benefits. There's unlocks from these. Which one did I just make? Armor maker? It's a little different than a hollow point though. It's a far more, like hollow points, these are extreme hollow points. Hollow points will roll back and make a really big exit wound. These actually explode like in Tarkov. If you remember when we played with Tarkov, the bullets could sometimes break and you'd get like 15 hits off a bullet because it shattered. They're fragments. Yeah, they fragment. They actually, at least with my hunting hollow points. My hunting hollow points are exactly what they sound like. The tip of the bullet is just hollow. With these, they actually fill the tip with like this soft rubber plastic that supposedly burns up when the bullet is fired, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole business, the home defense rounds. They charge more for them. And yeah. But it's to try to prevent it from shrapneling out. The fragmenting symptom was just about really grain. That's interesting. And I may be a little wrong on the logistics of it, but that's the way it's been explained to me. I'm not an expert by any means. Yeah, the big thing is to try to not, you know, like I said, if you have an invader in your house, you don't accidentally shoot your neighbor in the process. Because, like, some guns have the speed and force to, you know, go right through your wall and into your neighbor's living room. That's nice. Bad. I love when they have they're so hungry they still have a fish hanging out of their mouth. I caught a catfish with like 20 feet of line hanging out of its mouth. And I pulled on the line and there was just a fish skeleton wrapped in line. And the fish had just been dragging around the empty line. I felt like, see, that day, I felt like I did that fish a solid, you know? Like, sure, he got a hole in his lip, but in turn, the fish skeleton that he wasn't able to pass because it was wrapped in polymer fishing line was removed from his gut. It was like a little surgery. It was like a little operation he had. It's gonna hurt, but in the end, you're gonna feel better. And we're justifying. We're justifying. Don't justify. Just accept that you're a monster. Is shooting seagulls a bad? I think there's probably... So, like, that's not our job. Unless I'm a big... I know that there's a lot of people who would say otherwise, but I personally have a lot of faith in my DNR. You might have some other name for it, but the people who monitor your animals and wildlife in your state, country, wherever you live, I have a lot of faith in mine, and I do what they tells me. But yeah, I'm not in a place where I need to kill seagulls, so I would not shoot one. The only animal I sometimes murder purely as a pest is things either that get into my home, mice, squirrels, chipmunks, and sometimes with a friend I help him with raccoons because his corn gets devastated by raccoons. And there's a lot of them. No gobies, no. Supposedly we have hogs. And I'm kind of I shouldn't be. That's the hunter part of me that's kind of excited for the hog hunt, but you know, I like pork. I like pulled pork. Law is absolutely very state to state, 100%. And there's a lot of misinformation that's given out. Even from avid fishermen, I constantly get told just completely wrong stuff about what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to kill. There are some fish, though, that if you catch them, kill them. There's some bait we use that it's legal to use it as bait, but you have to kill all the bait that you have left over. There are lots of rules with that stuff in attempts to control invasive species and get our help, right? We're out there doing it, our help to control invasive species. But unfortunately, people get that wrong a lot. Or worse, they think they know better. There's still a lot of guys who kill every carp they see, who kill pike, who kill bowfin. And it's because their grandpa was taught by his grandpa that bowfin aren't any good to eat, so we might as well kill them. There's no actual sound logic behind that except Grandpa got sick and tired of catching toothy fish when he was fishing for fish he could eat. Toothy, inedible fish. And most fish are edible. Like, all fish are edible. At least freshwater that I know of. I've never come across one that's literally inedible. The problem is some are just a pain in the ass to clean. They're very bony. Most fish taste fine. Again, they're just a pain in the ass to eat. And therefore they get looked at as a trash fish. You'll hear people use that term a lot in fishing. That's a trash fish. But the reality is it just means it's probably bony and their grandpa told them it's no good to eat, but it was just because it was no good to eat compared to a perch, which is really easy to eat. Not that there's anything wrong with the meat or the fish itself. I find that shit super interesting. I love to see where misinformation, I mean, I guess it's relevant with what's modern American politics too, but I love to see where misinformation and how misinformation gets spread in stuff like fishing and hunting, and it usually just goes back to like Grandpappy. Yeah, and Europeans eat carp. Like we like literally here, if you go to any lake that has carp in it, you will find carp dead all over the shore. And it's because most Americans believe carp are a trash fish and should be killed. And they confuse them for Asian carp. But Europeans eat carp. It's a Christmas meal. But it's an inconvenience for Americans. We have other fish that are better. That's all it is. We've got other fish that are better to eat, easier to eat, and we eat them. Actually, that game Russian Fishing 4 is the one that really got me super interested in a lot of this shit, and it was because of all the carp fishing you did. And then all the Europeans that showed up because of the game talking to me about how different fishing is over there with their respect and appreciation. Like, dudes have mats to lay their fish on so that they don't hurt their scales. Some dudes even carry little medicines that they'll put on the fish if they've got like an infection or like something wrong with their eyes. Like, they treat their fish so differently than we treat our fish. And not only that, but their fish is a fish that here just gets its throat slit and thrown on shore for birds to eat. Or fed to pigs. Nothing you love more than tuna. I've never had real, like, fresh tuna. Burying the carp you bow fish for? Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of bow fishermen here that just go out and shoot carp for fun. And then that shit to me is wild. As a fisherman, I know that's weird to say, but I do draw the line at just absolutely unnecessary murder. There are quite a few deep sea species that I wouldn't fish for that reason too, because you can't catch them without killing them. So what? I don't want to get into that. Well, here's the 12539. The other thing about that, it's not just that Americans are cruel, right? In a lot of places in Europe, especially populated Europe, a or highly populated Europe, the only fishing that's available, from my understanding, talking to Europeans, is pay lakes. They have to pay to fish these lakes. There's not a lot of public water to fish. They aren't as lucky as we are to have, you know, Michigan has over 10,000 lakes. And sometimes we just forget how lucky we are to have such an abundance of a natural resource like fish. People kind of just don't recognize that fact. Thought that was Minnesota. We have more lakes than Minnesota. Minnesota just addresses themselves as the land of 10,000 lakes. We just don't go by that. What is our slogan? Is it a slogan? Now that's different though. No, because like, what is that? What is Minnesota's? Now it's pure Michigan, Great Lakes State. But that's the TV advertisement slogan. I'm talking about the like motto, state mottos. Yeah. Is that what their land of 10,000 lakes is? Is their motto? They got to it first? Nah, that was just what they chose. We just chose something cooler, like, apparently Great Lakes State. The Wolverine State, the Mitten State. If you seek a pleasant peninsula, look about you. That's tight, honestly. I love it. Yeah, Michigan. So that to not like what we call a lake and what other places call a lake. Like if you're down south, you probably only go to reservoirs, which are man-made lakes where dammed up rivers. Up here, my lake's only like a little over 80 acres, and in a lot of people's mind that would be a pond, but it's a natural lake. It's a natural occurring lake. It's a glacier dug hole in the ground that's the lake level is 100% goes up and down with the level of groundwater. There's no rivers, no streams. It's just rain. Have to have a depth to them. What's your depth? Because the average lake up here in Michigan isn't super deep. We have some. I mean, it's a pond if you're from, like I said, if you're from Kentucky, where like the lakes down there are like, the smallest lake I think I fucking saw when I was down there was like 800 acres or something like that. They have massive stuff. But it's all because they're just dammed up parts of the river. The lake I went to in Georgia on my fishing trip, it was like 26,000 acres or something. Made by a meteor. Tight. Alaska has 3 million lakes over 20 acres. That's pretty nice. We do also have 3 Great Lakes, right? 2? 3? 2? I don't know. Some amount of Great Lakes. 3, right? How many touch Michigan? Four of them? Erie sneaks in there. I guess this will have to do. I'm not thrilled about it. Four out of the 5, yeah. I'm just like a West Michigan boy, so like Lake Michigan's the only one I know anything about. Don't know shit about the other ones. I know where Erie is because I want to walleye fish it. How many times have I fished the Great Lakes? Not many at all. Maybe like only once on a boat that I like actually fished. I've thrown lines in the water and stuff. I did a lot of sailing growing up in Lake Michigan, but you don't do a lot of fishing from a sailboat. I've done a bit of pier fishing where I just fish off one of our many lighthouse piers. And then I do a lot of fishing in rivers right next, like my favorite place to fish right now is a river that I fish within like a mile of Lake Michigan, but it's connected to Lake Michigan. I don't go out on it because it takes a much braver boy than me in a bigger boat. Mainly the bigger boat thing. I'd love to have a boat that could go out of Lake Michigan, but I mean technically any can if the weather stays nice, but I spent enough time out there as a teen to know how fast it can turn bad. Because Lake Michigan and a lot of the Great Lakes are this way, because they're so narrow, they can get very choppy. The waves can get super close together. And they may not get massive, but we can get 5-6 foot waves on like a decent, you know, on a pretty decent day. And they're very, very close together. Unlike on the ocean where, you know, you'll get 30-foot waves, but they roll forever. And in between waves is a long, drawn out roll, right? Where here it's super choppy. But supposedly Lake Michigan has had like a pretty high number of shipwrecks and stuff. And it's pretty dangerous waters, relatively speaking. Yeah, I've seen the biggest waves I've been out on are like almost 10 feet in a sailboat, and it's terrifying, man. Because they're just not, they're not rollers, you know, because they get so choppy in the Great Lakes. I watched a sailboat sink that day. They bashed into the pier and the keel broke off their boat. On sailboats, you have the big sail, right? Well, when the wind catches the sail, there's this keel, this big fucking thousands of pounds of weight that hangs off the bottom of the boat. So that broke into the pier and snapped off, and then the boat just started rolling. It looked like a hot dog in one of those rotisserie machines. The mast breaks off, and then the boat just rolls. It was very scary. But I know Lake Michigan can get some massive waves too, like I think into the 20 feet even on really bad days. Man, this just is not very efficient. And it only stunned that asshole. Fuck you. I guess I gotta do it. Didn't kill him. I don't want him to bust that catapult. The ballistas will get him, I hope. Someday I would like to get back into sailing. I should really pick a hobby that doesn't involve water because I can't really swim, but I can't help what I like, and it's water. Yeah, man, it was a big part of my teen years. And many of my mistakes were... we have a lot of little beach towns that riddle the shores of Lake Michigan. And as a teen, my friend's dad had a sailboat, but he was like never there. So we basically used it from like 14 to 16, 14 to 17 maybe. As our apartment. All summer long, we would just stay out on the boat and, you know, be dumb teenagers. But with no parental supervision. It was good fun. Because it was like a beach town, it meant we got, you know, a lot of tourists to hit on. Fight with. It's fun. Maybe just take swimming lessons. I know that life is so fucking easy for chat. I'm sorry. So my problem is I panic whenever water gets in my face. Let's just see a therapist. Like a reflex to panic. I don't know. Sure, is that what we can call it? Whatever you want, dog. All I know is that I can't put my face in, like, I can't swim well because of my... I just freak out. When things start to go wrong, I panic. I don't have like a perfect play-by-play explanation for what happens when I start drowning. Cause like, yeah, I can go underwater if I do it. But like specific scenarios, that was a ballista, wasn't it, cocksucker? But like there was a few times where waves rolled over my face when I was swimming in Lake Michigan and stuff like that, and yes, I would freak the fuck out, start inhaling water, and start fucking drowning. Why? I have no idea. It's not like I've never accidentally inhaled water when drinking it. It makes my love for water so much more interesting. It is interesting. I think it's also something that a lot of people put in a situation would also suffer from. And like to pretend like they wouldn't because they just haven't been in that scenario. Not that I'm trying to like feel better about myself. I just like a lot of ice fishing in Michigan. And the number one thing that kills people when they fall into the ice isn't the shock like they talk about. Like, yes, it's shock, but it's not like your body just goes and you sink to the bottom of the lake. What happens is you panic and go and inhale a bunch of water, and then you freak out and then you drown. And like there's a whole bunch of really dumb YouTube tutorials on like how not to drown when you fall in the ice, and they're all basically the same thing, and it's don't panic. Which, like, you just fell into the fucking ice. Just don't panic because you watched a YouTube video that told you just don't panic. Yeah, you'd have. So, like, when I say I can't swim very well, I know that, like, if a situation were to get bad in the water, I would drown. I can, you know, I can get from fucking point A to point B in the water fine. But to me, that's not like that's not enough if you're gonna go out and spend days on a boat, right? So I think most people that sail and that spend a lot of time on water aren't actually as avid of, you know, swimmers as they pretend like they are. I think I'm worse than most, but you have to have been in a shitty situation to know how you'll react to it. Otherwise, you just won't know. That's just life. Like, it's really easy to say that you're an amazing swimmer and you'll never drown. But when the boat you're on is fucking sinking and you're 10 miles out and you're panicked, it'll be interesting to see how you truly react. Yeah, absolutely. And then, but like I said, I'm not a great swimmer. I'm not a great swimmer, and I think that helps me get panicked faster. I should try to work on my swimming more. I do actively. I live on a lake, so I swim pretty, you know, regularly. Today, I told you I had to get on my FBI neighbor's boat. I was sitting in a little floaty in the middle of the lake, next to my boat, and my brother and his girlfriend were swimming off, being all teenage lovebirds, right? And my neighbor pulled up and we started chatting, and I was just sitting there in my floaty not paying attention. I had my vape in my hand too. I'm in the water with my vape in my hand, floating in my floaty. And the next thing I know, one of the kids is like, "Your boat's really far away." And I turn around and look back, and we had floated all the way to the other side of the fucking lake. So then I was like, "You're gonna have to give me a ride back." He's like, "Yeah, no problem." So I get in. He gives me a ride back to my boat. I get out. We start talking again. Next thing I know, I'm fucking 100 yards away from the boat and felt too bad to ask for a ride again. So then I had to fucking swim one-handed with my vape in the air. Thank God I had my little floaty shot. What would a boy done without his floaty? My little brother can't drive my boat either, so he's just stranded out there. I would have died. Nah. Calm water, I'm fine, right? Like, it's completely different in calm water. I really think where swimming gets incredibly difficult for me is when it's rocky. If I can sit down and swim across the lake, breaststroke across the lake, no problem because it's flat and it's calm. But it's very, very different when you're swimming in Lake Michigan or the ocean and places where things get rough. When you can't control your breathing, right? Like, you're not 100% in control of when you're going to get to take a breath. That shit puts me on a whole new plane of anxiety. I had a friend, though, who was an amazing swimmer. He had fucking hands like frying pans. I've told this story about how he made a lumberjack cry because the lumberjack had never met anyone with bigger hands than him. But anyway, he would constantly save my life whenever... He'd always talk me into these dumbs. Like, dude, come on. Let's swim to shore. It's only a mile. Let's swim to shore. And then I'd end up getting waves rolling over me, crashing down on me, panicking, and him having to one-handed stroke me all the way back to shore. So that made me a little more comfortable, but those big hands, great for stroking. He swam like a frog. What's it called? It's like a breaststroke, except he'd never, I swear to God, when he was swimming, you'd always see his nipples. He had so much force in his hands and big feet that he would just always was torso out, like the fucking centaur from Old Spice when he swam across the water. Butterfly? Is that what that is? I'm over here working my ass off just to keep my head above the water. And he's like waist out of the water. Like a fucking dolphin dancing on its tail. Hey guys! Like David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie. Yes, that was how he swam. I always just blamed it on his incredibly large hands and feet. It made me feel better about my inadequacy. The screen always shakes. They're aware that people aren't happy with the screen shake, so they'd expect to see something about it. I think we're good. The later in the game, the more screen shake you get. It's not bad early, but when you start having 7 multi-attacks and 14 ballistas, yeah, it gets pretty messy. Oh, God! My catapult. I didn't think I was that bad off, but they moved a lot further than I expected. But yeah, I exaggerate my can't swim to I don't think I'm the appropriate person to spend the majority of his life on the water. Because I can't swim very well, and I panic very easily. but I can swim. Put me in a pool, and I'll swim around with you all day long. But take me to the beach with waves crashing down, and I'm gonna get, like, pretty panicky. My nipples are definitely not above water when I'm swimming. They're far. My beard is in the water. We went canoeing when I was very little before I knew how to swim at all. I did not know how to swim until I was much. I took a lot of adult swimming to get to where I can, like, actually say I can swim now. But we went canoeing when I couldn't swim, and I remember we got real bad into rapids. It was me, my brother, and one of his friends, and I was too young to... They didn't even give me a paddle. So I just was sitting on the bottom of a canoe, not even in a seat. And it got really rapid, and there was this rock in front of us, and they're screaming and yelling, like, having a good time, like, we're gonna hit that fucking rock! And I just started yelling, I'm gonna pee! And I just pissed all over the bottom of the canoe. And then the canoe smelled like pee for the rest of the trip. But we jumped that rock. It was more of like bumped and kind of went over it a little bit, got sideways. Maybe that's where it all stems from, the time I peed in a canoe. Fishing kayaks are really nice, except the fact that you're in a kayak. I just can't fish. Like, even the ones you sit way up on top of, man, it's just, to me, that's not enough space to deal with everything going on, man, all you're trying to do. If you're gonna do it, though, yeah, one of the real fishing kayaks where you sit way high up on top of them's a hell of a lot better. I tried to fish in little cheap kayaks a few times now, and it's hell, in my opinion. You're just way too close to the water. I'll stick to fishing in my boat, though. I like to take many fishing rods with me. Many. I hear the tournament league, or tournament scene for kayak fishing has gotten pretty serious, too. Some pretty big money kayak tournaments. You hit a rock tubing once? Jesus, no. Our lakes aren't rocky. Up north they get rocky, I hear. You doing something wrong? So it's not about... my problem is I like to fish for lots of things. And I don't want to sit around and waste time tying and retying and tying and retying. It's not about, yeah, I could catch every fish in the lake with one fishing pole and a tackle box, but I don't want to sit there and do that all day long. Jesus, fuck you, game. But yeah, it's simply convenience. It's not necessity. but I don't want my fishing to be a chore, right? I want it to be something I enjoy. Yeah, we can use 3 rods. 3 rods at a time. But I carry usually 6. It is still the experience run, yeah. What level are we now? Like 8 or 9? 9? Yeah, we can use 3 on shore. We can use 3 rods anywhere in Michigan, which may be why Erie is... Oh, wait, you're saying it's different shore and land. Well, then maybe... Is it like that with your lakes, too, Juju? Because maybe your Erie law is different because it's connected to Michigan. I don't really understand rod limits. They're... Like, I'm a big fan of, you know, not overfishing. But the thing is, it doesn't make sense to have a rod limit and to have a fish limit. Like, if you can only catch 15 of a fish a day, who cares how fast you get it done? That sucks that I took damage in there. I guess maybe more rods would mean you'd be just catching a lot more small ones or something. I don't know. I've never understood the having both laws. Seems redundant. I mean, I like fishing laws, and I'm glad they exist, Tackler. I'm glad they're out there. I've met plenty of fishermen, and I can't imagine how bad it would be if they weren't at least sort of afraid of getting a ticket. Oh, that's a fair point too, Ju. I didn't think about that. I shouldn't have called you Ju, but here we are. We've done that now, so we can't go back. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that one. That's a fair point too. People just taking up a ton of real estate and being dicks about it, eh? Oh, you can't do anything else. I think Virginia has no rod limit. I watched some catfisher from down there. And that boy will have like fucking 18 rods. He has a pontoon, and it'll just be poles. I told you I want to get down there. I gotta Chat, I met a lady near where Bad Juju's been talking about walleye fishing. So I figure like it's worth going down to meet her as long as I can also fish. Just in case the fishing sucks or you know, her and I don't hit it off. That's fair, right? I'm so mad I left that guy alive. Oh, there's one alive there too. I gotta waste 3 mana to kill you? No, I don't. We have the cottonwood right now. It's so bad. I hate the cottonwood. Every time you cast your rod out, it's just covered in that shit. God damn it. Man, this just went fucking horribly wrong. I see why. Yeah, it's a pretty classic old-time saying, bad. Problem is the weather's been so fucking weird here. Up and down. Our water's already 84 degrees. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Subs and stuff. I love you. See you probably tomorrow.